over here and quit licking the lid. You're nasty. There you go.
This KRV is going to be a bloodbath. A showdown between two of my favorite fixed blade knife brands, Cold Steel and Fallkniven. A lot of guys call it Fallkniven. I alternate back and forth. I love them both. And what I'm going to throw on the table, in my opinion, are two of the best stainless steel woods blades being made. We'll get to all the details, covering it in a blow-by-blow, point-by-point face-off between the two brands. But first, here in the TNP Knife Show, I've never done this before, you might like it, I'm going to give away 2 knives. I won't do it here on the channel, I will do it via my Twitter feed. That is Twitter/nutnfancy. Subscribe. Here's the questions. And you have to be a TNPer. You have to tell me what your YouTube channel name is. I will go research it. You have to feature the Nut and Fancy project as one of your channels. If it's not featured, you do not qualify. Sorry. That's how I know you're a TNPer. A lot of people watch the show. Some are afraid to show it. I don't like that. Just show it. Say, I watch the show. I like it. Whatever. First question is, what was the last face-off video for 2 knives I did? You'll probably go searching in the channel page. You'll find it. I need to know the knife brands and the post date. Tell me your YouTube channel name and post it on my tweet that I'm going to do on the knife you're looking at right there. Okay? And I'm just going to show you this much. We'll get to the Fallkniven and the Cold Steel here in a sec. But first, this is one of my all-time favorite all-purpose woods blades, defensive knives, you name it. What knife is that? That's all I'm going to show you, and the picture that I tweet will have the same portion of the handle showing. You got to tell me the brand, the exact type of knife, and to win you got to tell me what steel it has. Ooh, maybe that's a little bit tough. So 2 questions. What was the last face-off knife video, KRV, I did? The post date. Question 2, what knife is that? And by the way, I want 2 winners. They can't be the same dude. So I'm going to tweet that tonight, okay, so you'll know when I did this KRV, and then eventually I'll find some winners, I hope, and we'll send you 2 knives, and we're not talking crappy knives. We're going to send you what I think are 2 pretty good blades, signed, free of charge, to you. Thank you for watching and supporting the TNP Knife Show. Kind of fun. This knife right here, which is going to remain nameless right now, again, one of my all-time favorites. I love it, love it, love it. However, here's a little hint bomb for you contestants on the Twitter feed. The steel, yeah, I'm not super digging the steel. Okay, there's a lot of high value stainless steel woods blades. We know this, right? I've talked about them at length. I just got done with a Mora knife video. And I put those up, but I'm trying to see if I have what I consider to be a super high value stainless steel woods knife. I don't really have any. I mean, I've got this wood line, but this isn't really what I'm talking about. It's got 8CR13 MOV, but it's not really a woods blade. It's more of a fight knife and a pseudo hunt knife. There's a ton of those. What if you want more? What if you want a balance between first and second cool? That's why we're going to talk about Fallkniven and Cold Steel. Specifically, this knife right here. Say goodbye to mystery knife. The Cold Steel SRK and Sanmai 3. Okay? Versus the Fallkniven S1 Forest Knife. Ooh, I like this Showdown. I like it a lot. It's kind of like 2 of my favorite football teams going to play against each other. It's really hard for me to root for a winner, and I think that will become apparent as the KRV progresses, right? S1 Forest Knife, Cold Steel, SRK. and Sanmai 3. Now, you may be looking, well, you know, the S1's not a perfect comparison against that. It's a little bit of a smaller knife. It's close enough. And let me lay this as a foundation for what we're going to discuss. Did you like that special effect? I have a lot of experience with both of these knives. Okay? Both with the SRK and both with the Fallknivens. Not just the forest knife. If you've been watching the knife show all along, you will know that I have experience with the A1. Oh yeah, that's sitting over here. Not this one. This one's brand new. Look at how pretty that is. Oh, that's a beautiful blade. Fallkniven A1 wilderness blade, and also the A2 Big Brother. And this is wearing, by the way, a sheath from our friends at Red Hills sheath. I used to have I'll just annotate at the top. I just like their sheaths. Tons of great kydex out there. I always say that. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. The A2 Wilderness Knife. Okay, so I bring this out as a foundation once again, and then here's our regular carbon steel SRK by Cold Steel. This was one of the first knives I tested in TMP. Maybe not one of the first, but I mean back in 08, 09 time frame, we were doing some thumping with this knife. And to this day, one of the SRKs, either the Sanmai 3 or this one, is integrated into a lot of different survival kits. Usually on the motorcycle, I'll take an SRK. Okay? That's the foundation. So plenty of experience with both knives. What we're really going to look at is a composition, in my opinion, and that's all it is, on the laminated steels. We're going to look at Sanmai 3 versus the Fallkniven's laminated steel. Which one's best, do you think, Nut and Fancy? I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a very difficult question to answer. But before we do that, let's lay down some further foundation, some context, as I've said in other videos, of philosophy of use. What are the knives designed for? I've kind of alluded to it already. Woods blades. It's wet, it's snowing, it's slushing. These are the knives that go along. I've shown a bunch of really awesome carbon steel knives. They are going to be higher maintenance. They'll have better edge holding. They won't chip out as easily as these blades, truth be told. But they're going to rust. If I'm in a high moisture environment, I probably will take a stainless steel blade. Philosophy of use. That's what I'm doing. I'm not up there doing feather sticks. I'm not, you know, making bow drills and stuff like that. Some guys are. They're carving boards, bowls. I'm just doing camp stuff. Food preparation, fire preparation. Occasionally I'll, you know, brush up some skills on natural shelter craft. That's very rare these days. That's what these knives are for. They're capable of skinning game. You know, skinning them out. Doing it. Are they perfect at all of those tasks? No. Very few knives are. It is a compromise blade. For instance, both of these knives are really thick. For a camp knife, I don't generally prefer a thick blade. I don't. And I've said that. I would prefer something, you know, well, kind of like this. It's just sitting over here in the wings. It's a competitive option. I love it. $125 KOA bush knife. I love how I label those so I don't forget. Also in a Red Hill Kydex. So this is going to be a little bit thinner. Broad blade, very capable, D2 steel. Semi-stainless tool steel. Is that the... I'm not meaning to throw this up as the perfect camp blade. It's a little bit too broad, a little bit too big. I like a smaller knife, kind of like a Mora blade. Like I wish I had with me right here. I don't. You know, a little bit thick. They're not going to be great slicers. Here's the S1. It is, well, let's just look. Make sure I'm telling you right. It is a little bit thinner than the SRK. But both of them are kind of chunky. They won't slice your tomatoes that well. There's, you know, better options for that. My point being is you are establishing a good to excellent level of performance, especially since I've used this one so much. Maybe not a superb level of performance in every task. In other words, not the ultimate skinner, not the ultimate slicer, but very strong blades, rust resistant, capable of sheltercraft, fire preparation, and the tools and the tasks you need to get done up there. Soldier knives. I said that when I reviewed the SRK originally, right? It is an ultimate soldier knife. I'll stick with that. One reason I said is because it's such a strong blade. It is thick. You can pry with it. I wouldn't pry up here towards the tip, but down here, you get in a crate or something, you can pry with that. You know what most soldiers use their knives for? That's right, opening MREs. That's right. How about this? And I said this years ago with SRK, fondling knife. That is something that's collectible. You really love it. It's just fun to hold. These are more working blades to me, but perhaps collectible, turns you on, could be. Could be. Defensive knives, I would say yes. I could think of some better options. Kind of like the A2. To me, that's more of a defensive blade. It does have a lower guard. It's a big knife. It has reach. The A1 would be a better choice, but both the S1 and the SRK and Sanmai options, totally. Wait, this is where the showdown begins. What is the lightest knife, would you think? And we're actually comparing, I've got the A1, A2, and this one off the wings, but we're looking at these two. S1 versus SRK. That's kind of obvious. I already showed you the width, right? And you can tell that the S1's just a little bit smaller. That is correct. Total carry weight with the plastic sheath, 9.8 ounces. For the knife alone, 6.8 ounces. The Sanmai 3 SRK is 11.2 total carry weight. Okay, that's pretty close. Really close. When you consider that the SRK has a little bit more reach, a little bit more blade length, it's probably a draw. I would consider it pretty much the same weight. Same weight, wouldn't you? The feel is very similar. They both have craton handles, rubberized handles. They both have lower guards. You know, they're really squaring off against each other. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if, you know, the manufacturers of each knife know about the other blade. There's not a lot of these, by the way, that I know. I'm talking manufactured, production, laminated stainless steel blades. There's not a ton. There are some. Not a ton, though. The balance, excellent. I love the craton handles. We'll visit that just briefly here before we end. Let's talk about the steels. Maybe this is where the discussion centers. I've always said, I'm not a steel snob. I'm a user. I'm an end user. I like a steel to perform for me. I like it to be trustworthy up there. And in this case, I want it to be rust resistant. That's the philosophy of use for these blades. On the top, the Sanmai 3, once upon a time used an AUS 8 core with 420J2 sides. That has been changed to now use a VG1 core. Now, Cold Steel will tell you that they've tested VG1 against, what is it, ATS 34, the 440 series of stainless steels, and some others. And in what they say, their ad copy will say, yeah, we much prefer the VG1. Okay? And we could get real nerdy on the steels, but most people don't care. You know, like 0.95 to 105 carbon content, 13 to 15 on the chromium. Yawn. You know, I'm going to sleep just saying that. How about this one, the Fallkniven S1? And all of them on the table, they use their own proprietary steel. A laminated VG10 steel. So VG10 core in the center, softer stainless steel on the side. The benefits being is you have a very strong break resistant blade with a hard core that can hold an edge. That's why you would go with a laminated stainless steel. And count me as a fan, having tested these blades. They do what the manufacturers say they do. Are they perfect? No. And I'll bring in the A2, and I think, I haven't sharpened this out, I hope not. I've shown this on camera before. There's one right there. You'll see the nicks in this blade, and that is a downside. You know, the VG10 core is going to be a little bit more brittle, has more chromium, it's going to chip out easier. And these, you know, I'm batoning, I go through to the rock, gravel, whatever, boonk, I just chipped the knife. Wah, wah. Happens. You know, if you care about that, you need to run this. Or something like it. A carbon steel knife, and just put up with the maintenance up there. In performance, getting to the showdown. Sanmai 3 versus VG1. I'm sorry, Sanmai 3 versus the laminated VG10 of Fallkniven. I can't tell a difference. They seem absolutely identical to me. But that is not years and years of testing. I got a lot of stuff coming through the pipes here in TMP. I mean, the throughput, blades, knives, gear. I'm not out here every day doing it. But in my opinion, I think it's a draw on the steels. Each one is excellent. Each one does what it say it will do. You might, if you're really concerned about ultimate strength, go with an SRK. It is a thicker blade. And specifically, we're holding up the S1 Forest knife here. You know, it has a little bit more reach. Let's look at the blade shapes again. And lengths. You can see that thickness of the SRK. So while they're not great slicers, and they're not, they can pry and they can hack for their size. More so with SRK than this S1. You know, if you want to throw up the A2 just to make it a little bit more fair, then, and now the SRK is on the downside, at least in terms of length. However, by the way, this will count as my review of the A2. I'm not doing a separate tabletop. It's Fallkniven day, bro. And SRK Samurai 3 for that matter. This one's going to be heavier though. Let's look at the widths now. And now you see if you up to the A2, you're getting a thicker blade steel over the SRK. Aha! The plot thickens. See, to me, if I'm going up in the woods, I need a stainless steel knife. I would generally not bring, unless it's an emergency situation, like I said, the Moto kit. There, I'm pretty much sure I'm not going to break down. But what if I do? I'll go with a smaller knife, easier to carry, less weight. But I know I'm going to be using the blade. I'll go with an A2. Make sure I'm getting the numbers right. I hope I am. I'm sorry, A1, this is A1 or A2. That's my choice. I'll carry the extra weight. This can hack really good. I've reviewed this separately, by the way, years ago. And this one can do better than both those knives. Okay, philosophy of use. Notice on these two smaller knives, I did not say really as hacking blades. They're not. They're too small. They don't have the physics to crosscut, in my opinion. You know, they don't. But if you're looking for ultimate strength between these two knives, SRK, I'd probably go with that. A little bit. If you want to upgrade to the A1, A2, I say rock on. Blade shapes. Standard clip blade on the SRK, love it. Not flat ground, it's hollow ground for mid-spine. I love the flats because it makes it easier to sharpen. Let's look at the tip. Just like before when I reviewed it in 09 or 8, whatever it was. Excellent. There's the blade markings. Oh, by the way, I have got to give a shout out to a Lost in Action YouTuber who actually sent this to the project. DS Mattis. I went to his channel page and he's gone. I don't know where he is. I don't know where guys go. I'm talking to him, and then years later they're gone. I've taken forever to put this SRK Samurai 3 on the table. Sorry, DS. He probably got so sad he just left. Hey, dude, if you want your knife back, let me know. I'll send it back to you. No problemo. And I just love it. Such a great blade. Blade shapes. S1 Forest knife. By the way, I love that knife. Love it, love it, love it. I love the name, too. That is a black Teflon coating on it. The A1, A2 over there don't have it. I like it. I had to wait 2.5 months to get this knife shipped to me. Back in 2011 is when we ordered it, I think. And we just waited and waited. It came direct from Sweden, I guess. Yeah, the black version, hard to find, I guess. But I love it. And the blade shape, it's very similar to the SRK. Perhaps a little more elegance. And it's not hollow ground, it's convex ground. There are a couple other knife companies that do that. Bark River does it. Blackjack has a few blades that do it. Here's where I stand still on convex ground blades. I'm not super enthusiastic on them. And the reason why, and I don't make any apologies for it, I'm not going to change, so if you're going to try to change me, forget it. I will never see the comment anyhow. I'm on to the next video. It's just easier for me to sharpen a conventional grind. I can put on my sharpener, I'm in and out in 15 minutes, boom, razor edge, just like this one right here, dudes. I can't show you that knife because you know what it is. So this is just my EDC today. Eagle HD. I mean, look at that edge. I mean, if that's convex ground, can I get it to that level? Maybe. And guys go on and on. Oh, it's so easy. I do it all the time. Whatever. If judging by my gear checks on you guys, you don't. Even conventional grinds, your knives are pretty much always dull. Out come the excuses. Well, you know, it was sharp last week, and then I castrated about 15 pigs with it. Yeah, I've heard it all before. Blade shapes, I think it's a draw, and they're both full tang knives. I think the SRK's full tang are pretty much close to it. You can see the tang poking out on the the A1. And for that matter, I'm sorry, I said the S1 and the A1 and A2, same way. I kind of like that. You know, in this style of knife, like when we get to these bigger blades, it's super important. With this one, where I know I'm not going to be, you know, torquing it that much, it's nice to have. The advantage is you can hammer with that if you need to. Be careful, you're going to whack your hand if you're not careful. Specifics on the handles, let's look at them. I think guys might complain about the width on the S1 force knife. It's a little bit more narrow. I certainly wish it had more real estate. I could say the same thing for on the SRK. I have large size hands and it just feels a little bit cramped to me. But again, remember SAWC. These are knives that we want to be ultimately ready and with us when we need them. So if I go with a slightly smaller handle, that's okay. We can do that. The SRK has more real estate on it. Both of them, forward and reverse grips, work just great. I like Kraton. Sometimes it'll wear out on me, and sometimes, you know, I'm trying to, I don't know, do different things with them. I have camo form on this one. Why? I don't know, just did it. I like it. It's even more comfortable to me. You can mod it out. Heck, you could peel the whole handle up and paracord wrap it and make it a project if you wanted to, right? Handles. Both of them have lanyard holds if you need it. Tin variety, not brass. Wind it on in there, and that'll take us to the sheaths in the Showdown video. I don't get why guys complaining about plastic sheaths. I love them. Remember what we're using these knives for. It's wet, snowing, slushing. Here comes a Bark River. You know, bravo. It's really a second kind of cool sheath. I love it. And this does ride in some other kits that I have. This exact knife, and I may review this separately. And this is one of those convex ground blades I was talking about. Yeah, just like that. Fallkniven, right? But leather, like I've said a bazillion times, wet, stays wet, heavier. Plastic sheath is excellent. I think I purchased this plastic sheath for the S1 separately, if memory serves. I didn't like the sheath that came with it, so I was like, let's get this plastic Zytel sheath, and ordered it. It's fine. Let's check the fit. Pretty good. That Kraton kind of snaps it in there. I wouldn't run it upside down in a para-jump right there. Retention right there. Simple. You know, drain holes on the bottom, I ain't seen it. I may be missing them. It's a good sheath though. A little bit loud? Yep. I've always said I love the Secure-X sheaths of cold steel. I'll stick with that. I love them. They're plastic, not Kydex, but you know what? It's lighter. You go with a Kydex sheath, kind of like this KOA camp knife, it will add weight. Now, when Red Hill makes me a sheath, I say please make it in 0.8 or 0.080 width, so that lightens it up a little bit more. Still a strong sheath. Secure-X is excellent. So let's check the fit. A little bit of rattle, but again, this isn't, you know, a clandestine combat blade, but as I see it mostly. Fitment, decent. There is a drainage hole on the bottom on the SRK. You can use strapping, much more so than you can the S1 knife. I will give the edge and sheaths definitely to the Secure-X cold steel. Steels are a draw. Weight and balance, very close. Ultimately go to S1, but I'm kind of calling it a draw. The handles, I'll give it to the cold steel. Has more room. They are similar, and it's actually thicker, more comfortable. Just as a review, quality and durability, I think, total draw. These are both fabulous knives. The Fallknivens are produced with such high levels of old world craftsmanship. That's one reason I'm really turned on by them. They're just cool. You know, old world. Now, maybe not in handle material, but modern materials with an old world craftsman approach. It's a family that makes these knives. They're not ultimately easy to find. They are available in a lot of different websites nowadays. Back when I was ordering these knives and back when I did the A2 review, not so much. And I think I mentioned that in this review. Right? Durability, you will have to watch the chipping out of these laminated stainless steel blades. I'd be careful of that, but if they do, just grind it out. You know, do that convex sharpening job that you're so excellent at. Get it right back there. I think they're good. They're not as strong as a carbon steel blade. Some of the carbon steel blades that I brought to the table are amazing. They're going to hold an edge better. They're going to be more break resistant and more pry resistant. You got to give something up. I think you understand that. How about competitive options? Well, if you're sticking to laminated steels, you have few. If you're willing to go just solid stainless steel, you have a bunch, right? Like the Tops Poseidon Light Traveler, 154 cm steel, 11 ounces, about $1.30. Still love this knife. Still love it. Not laminated stainless steel, but good enough. Look at this handle, dudes. That's how you do a handle. Freak. What a beautiful knife. I already showed you that KOA in D2. The camp knife, love this. A little bit broad for some applications. It splits like the Dickens. Kind of this, I shouldn't say same, but a similar grind approach to the SRK. You know, except this one's not hollow ground. I think it's flat ground from that portion on. The Vox rolled, I gotta go quick. D2 as well. These are just cast members I still have. There's so many great options. Kind of like this one. Don't forget ever about this one. It's a Hall of Famer in TMP. Sog Northwest Ranger. Okay, and this is a sheath I bought additionally direct from Sog. It's about 25 bucks, worth it. Really lightweight carry package, cryogenically treated OS 8, perfect jimping. You talk about a soldier blade? Oh, dudes. You know, I'd probably recommend this one over anything on the table because it's lighter, just as capable. I mean, they're just opening MREs. They're not stabbing bad guys that frequently last time I checked. Remember I said how Kydex will add a little bit of weight? It will. So here's the Kydex sheath for this. If I put it on, it's going to add like an ounce, ounce and a half. What else I got in here? Stainless steel knives. Oh, last but not least, another Sog Field Pup in black. Field Pup 2 more specifically with their cheesy sheath, but it's super lightweight. Great jimping, good thumb ramp, OS 8 cryo. That is a beautiful, actually not beautiful, it's ugly, but it's a functional handle. Functional. A lot cheaper than any of these knives. And that'll take us to value. This knife is a steal. No pun intended. The Cold Steel SRK and Sanmai 3, it's going to be about, I wouldn't say half, but it's going to be a lot less than the S1 Forest knife. You know, I jumped around online. I was seeing about 160-ish for this. Might be less, might be more. I saw about 100-ish on this. Yeah, so that to me gives the nod to the SRK in value. I got to wrap it up. Which knife would you choose as an ultimate woods blade nut and fancy? Oh, that's really, I told you it's a really hard decision because the blades are so awesome. It's really hard for me to choose. This is, and I'm just comparing the S1 against the SRK. We talked briefly about the A1 and A2, but this is where the focus is. I think they are evenly matched. If weight is ultimately a concern, I'll go with the S1. It usually is when I go backpacking. I'm counting ounces. People who don't end up carrying pounds. I'll go with the S1. If I'm not backpacking, cost is a concern, I'll go with the SRK and Sanmai 3. It won in several categories as we've reviewed. Steel is a draw. Weight, close. Slight edge to S1. I said it's kind of a draw. You got that. Handle goes to this. Sheath goes to the SRK3. Quality and durability, same. Value goes to the SRK. It's 60 bucks cheaper. I wouldn't wrap my head around that too much for a knife you're going to keep forever. If you're just going to keep it for a while and turn it, then maybe it's a consideration. Both are huge wins. They square off very nicely against each other. Not really a bloodbath. Well, maybe because they're so evenly matched, these two knives. It's a great time to be a knife enthusiast, an outdoor dudette, where we have options like these. You'll be very well equipped, at least in the philosophies of use we've discussed. That is a Showdown video. See you on Twitter.